Hello again, and welcome to I've Got a Beatles podcast with Dave and Chris. And we are going to talk about something I've been wanting to ask Chris about for a long time, which is, Chris, what is the sound of one hand clapping?
There it is, Dave. There it
There
is.
it is. I
Or
see his
or,
hand.
or if clap, clap, clap. Doot,
Yeah.
doot, doo.
Yes, and there's even some discussion about the sound of one hand clapping on this album here. So,
Yeah.
yes, we are going to talk about the very recent Paul McCartney and Wings release of One Hand Clapping, something that I think most Beatle fans who are into McCartney solo stuff have known about for a long time,
Yeah.
and know about it because some of the songs on here have dribbled out in various deluxe boxes and
Yeah.
different, even in movies.
Grainy video
Grainy video. Yeah.
DVDs on the set if you got the old what was that? The
Yeah,
Band on the Run set.
the 2010 Band on the Run set had a video of a lot of these, but to have this new release in a different way, with the sound quality and kind of the whole packaging in a much more professional way, really raises this to a new level. And I think we were we've been talking on the last couple podcasts about the various releases that the Beatles and the solo
Hmm.
artists have put forward. And this one came out of nowhere. And we were both really excited about it because I think that's why. Because it came out of nowhere and it wasn't expected. It wasn't like, oh, now it's back to the Egg and London Town or the next archive, that press to play deluxe set I know you want. Instead, it just kind of came out of nowhere. And it's from a period of Wings and Paul that was really interesting. So what was I mean, just to reiterate, what was your feeling when this came out or when you heard this was coming out?
Well, when I heard the news of this, I was very excited, and partially because it's we've had McCartney 3 coming out over and over again, and we've had yeah, to various excitement levels, the half speed mastering
Right.
things coming out. So not a lot that you haven't heard already or has been released many times over the last 4 years or so with Paul, can you grab a hold of and get super excited about.
Right.
This one, I when I heard it was coming out, I thought that's good. And then when you see the details, that it wasn't just, they could have easily made this thing just one disc release, and done, grab the best of these, and maybe done it in a half-ass way. But I feel like okay, what we're gonna do is take all this one hand clapping material, all right, which is different sessions, different months that this was recorded. We're gonna pull it all together. Sometimes we're gonna do a composite take to get the best sounding album,
Right. Right.
double album, plus a little 45 that comes with it, a little 7 inch. Um, so and the track listing, I was very excited. So I'm like immediately purchased, you know, no hesitation at all, ordered it, purchased it. Probably a little too expensive if you're buying it off the Paul site and you want that 7 inch. But I've got it here. I'm excited to have it. I'm really
Yeah,
excited to talk about it.
definitely. And me too. I think it in a way it makes sense that it came out when it did because we had the Band on the Run underdubbed mixes earlier this year. And so these sessions came out and were done right after that, after Band on the Run came out. So this was 1974, so it's 50
Yeah.
years. And what's curious about one hand clapping is that it really, I've seen it described in a few places. It was a vanity project. It really, that Paul maybe had thought it could have been a video or some sort of TV special like James Paul McCartney, but
Yeah.
it wasn't really for any particular purpose. And yet it was just like, let's get it, let's go to Abbey Road and record a bunch of songs and have the film guys there, and then I'll do some stuff playing on the piano by myself, and play old timey songs and a couple of Beatles songs and just a real hodgepodge of things.
Yeah.
But it was a good place to show a couple of new members of Wings and a new sound of Wings. So this was July or August of 1974.
Yeah.
And so we have two new members of the band. We have Jimmy McCullough and Geoff Britton. So what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on this new Wings group that had actually just recorded Junior's Farm, the single, right before this?
Yeah, it's you're capturing, okay, here's the revitalized Wings at a great moment here, like historic moment of sort of out with the old, right?
By
Those
Denny,
guys,
by Henry.
those guys quit, and then we recorded the one album on our own, just the three of us, right? And now, okay, we found the new guys. We got them in here, and so I think like partially maybe this sort of a rockumentary or whatever the video project was also Paul kind of showing off like, see, we got a great new band here, and we're really taking off, you know. What now, why it was never officially released, probably, I'm guessing, is because the video of this is terrible. The,
It
the
is. It
quality
is.
is poor. For the longest, for like when I didn't really, dig in and know what I was looking at, I was like, was this filmed in Lagos? Was that why is that why the
Like bad
grainy,
equipment.
like they used
Yeah.
some local equipment and filmed it? Because it really looks terrible.
Yeah, it
So
does.
so the video of it.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully for us, they got great audio, and we also have these new modern techniques to clean things up. And this has the one hand clapping, this new release has a Dolby Atmos mix and all that, all the bells and whistles and all that stuff.
And that's actually a good time to point out there's been some confusion about Giles Martin supposedly being involved with Reed mixing this, and he wasn't the one who actually did most of like, he did the Dolby Atmos stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Steve Orchard was responsible for the remixes and for the work on the
Yeah.
album proper here. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a modern release now, like all the other solo stuff and the Beatles stuff. You've got the different mixes and sound
Yeah.
is really, really improved a lot.
Yeah. And so some of these tracks have come out over the years in many different forms. Some on the I've always wondered this. I don't We haven't never talked about this, but did you ever get those McCartney Legacy DVDs?
I do. I have, yes, I do
Yeah.
have them. And
So
there's,
there's some of these are on
yeah,
there, right?
yeah. And
Uh,
actually, the that's the first place I'd heard. We haven't mentioned it yet, but the Backyard tapes, which is the on some of it is on the 7 inch you were talking about.
mhm.
The song Blackpool is in the McCartney Legacy or the videos.
Yeah.
It's one of those uh, screens where you are deciding what you want to watch, and you see the video of him singing Blackpool. So yeah, some of this was on there.
Yeah.
But
So
again, I didn't know that. I didn't know it
yeah.
was from this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so some of it on there, some of it on um various of the box sets as bonus tracks. Now, these in some places differ from those. So, for instance, the jet that's on the Band on the Run archive is a little bit different than this jet.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mix is totally different. And this apparently, according to, and there's like, if you want to go to X/Twitter and go to at McCartney Legacy, the guy who wrote the McCartney Legacy book that we've been raving about,
Yes.
and who has another one coming out towards the end of the year, which will cover this whole one hand clapping saga. The jet, for instance, is a composite of 2 takes, one in August and one in October. So we're getting stuff that we've sort of got before, but haphazardly and all over the place and in different various. If you wanted to pull together all your one hand clapping, you're gonna have, your bootleg tape, your archive series tracks, and your McCartney Legacy DVD, where you just have to not hit the button
just sit there and
to hear
watch
some of it. So to get it all in one package that's good and sequenced great, which is my first big note on the actual audio of the track. I think that the sequencing of this is excellent. It's like it's almost like you're really, it's in a concert order.
It feels like that.
Yeah, some hot openers and then some okay, here's Paul dicking around for a couple of songs, but it's really interesting. But it's like 2 or 3 songs, and then you get back to some heavy hitters. So I feel like it's been well sequenced. It's in a great package here. So,
except I gotta ask before we get into it here.
yeah,
A lot of controversy about the cover art.
okay. Well,
Fan up, yay or nay?
I'm a nay.
Yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
okay, so it's a baby with a one wing, and then instead of a second wing, it's a hand, and then there's an arrows drawn on it to show that the baby's hand is moving around, and I guess that's the one hand clapping.
Yeah, pretty
So
bad.
I don't like the picture. I do
No.
like the design, and you're gonna what I've always admired about all the McCartney stuff is the consistency of all of the song lettering is all the same on everything you've ever gotten
Yeah.
the last 10, 15, 20 years. So that's all well done. The it is $39.99 for the two disc, and then with the extra 7-inch, I don't know what I can't remember the exact price, but with that and shipping, it came to $60. So that's
Oof.
a little
Yeah.
pricey for what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the only place you can get it. You might be able to get it on You Discover Music, which often has the stuff from the Beatles solo catalogs that usually aren't distributed through Amazon or any of those other places, like the Crate for
Yeah.
George Harrison, etc. So
Right.
so I'm wondering if in some way you can get this in a cheaper way through a 20% off coupon or something like that. But through the Paul website, it's a little pricey to get
Yeah.
it. But I couldn't help myself.
No,
And
no, and yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot of stuff here, and I don't have the physical product. I was in
yeah,
St. Louis last weekend and almost bought it,
yeah,
but because I saw it at the store I love, vintage vinyl, but I
yeah,
decided not to, and that's okay. I think it's good. Just it's just a great thing to listen to while you're walking or working or anything on headphones. So
yeah.
it works well.
And if you have
Uh,
the right service through the headphones, you're getting the Dolby Atmos
right,
mix, which
right,
I made sure to have one strong. I probably had 2 listens to it the day it came out, because this didn't come till Saturday, of course.
yeah,
And the because of my stupid mail around here. And a couple days ago, when I was taking notes, I did want to mention the packaging really quick. They come in these green sleeves that are like wings, but there's no polyurethane sleeve. It doesn't come in. It just comes in paper. So
Hmm.
you're gonna want to take the record out of there and put them into your special inner sleeves to protect the records. So,
Yeah.
and then also the 45 was just shoved in there. So you don't want that inside the package because it's going to warp the, you want to get your records out of the middle of the package.
Yeah.
It is not a fold out.
Gatefold, which I thought it was
Gatefold.
going to be a gatefold. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was surprised by that.
Hmm.
Instead of the gatefold, we get this one hand clapping as if you'd ever put up the poster. On one side, it's the poster kind of of
Kind of
one
like
hand clapping, but half of it. So it
half
looks
of it's
weird.
blank. Yeah.
And then on the other side, you get pictures of each member of Wings. You got Jimmy McCullough here with some weird quotes.
Hmm.
Um, and you also get the listing of the credits basically, and you also get this explanation. I'll read this. One Hand Clapping is a video documentary directed by David Litchfield concerning 5 musicians working in a recording studio.
Oh.
And then they name the musicians, blah blah blah, and they formed the rock and roll band Wings. Also in the studio were 2 other musicians, an orchestra, and a dog. One of the musicians was called Howie Casey and played a saxophone. The other was called Del Newman, and he conducted the orchestra. What is it? It's like this is written as if you're telling your kid
A
this.
child. Yeah.
Yeah. The dog was called Poppy and really didn't do very much at all. The studio at number 3 Abbey Road, London, is where the Beatles recorded their first album, Please Please Me, in 1963, and the studio has been painted since then. Geoff Emerick, the recording engineer, said it would ruin the acoustics. And you also get that in other languages for some
Oh,
reason.
helpful. Yeah.
So
Very helpful.
very strange packaging. And all of the
Yeah.
quotes, for instance, here's Jimmy McCullough. I want to be able to produce a monster album with Paul and the band and be proud of it. That's what I want, to be appreciated on record. And then all of those are in the other languages too. I think
Hmm.
one's French and maybe German's the other one. I don't know. But very
Okay.
so odd. Odd,
Yeah.
but not disturbingly odd or like upsetting or anything like that. But
Yeah.
so all right,
Well,
so
with
so
all
that
that
covers the
said,
packaging and
yeah.
really the only negative of this package to me is the wing guy
Yeah.
is
Kind of
weird looking.
bad.
So
All right. Well, we'll go through our discussion here with the 4 sides, and then briefly the backyard uh, EP bonus 7 inch.
yeah.
So the side A, yeah,
Well,
begins.
one thing I wanted to say just
Yeah.
generally about all this is I feel like these songs take some extra liberties
Mm,
that Paul wouldn't do today, you know?
great point, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a looseness and kind of a sometimes it's rough, but in a good way. Kind
Yeah.
of a yeah, Paul would never do that now. He's too scripted. I don't even think he did it for Wings Over America because that was a tight show and
Yeah.
it didn't really let the guys stretch out very much. But I think here you do get a little bit more raw sound and Paul kind of having a good time and joking. It's a different Paul. So I think what you said earlier might be part of it, which is, oh look, you guys thought I couldn't make it because 2 guys quit, but hey, look, I made a great album
Yeah.
and we were in under tough circumstances. Now I've got a couple new guys who are like a real hot guitarist and a
Yeah.
real great drummer and look at I'm feeling very confident and I'm going to show off with these guys. And I think that spirit comes through a lot on this album.
Yeah, it just comes off as so much fun to me. It's just like
Fun.
fun, energetic.
Yeah.
At times some of these songs are like rushed, but
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
way that it just like feels like real energetic and great
Yeah.
versions of the song. So let's go through our tracks here.
All right. So side A. So we've got 6 songs on side A. I'll read them off and then we'll talk about them. We've got the theme song to One Hand Clapping. Then we've
Yep.
got Jet, Soily, the medley of Sea Moon and Little Little Woman Love, Maybe I'm Amazed, and My Love.
Yeah,
So
real hot side
yeah,
A.
great side A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just had to do that instrumental ranking episode already, didn't we?
We missed that one, didn't we? We
Yeah.
missed one hand clapping.
Where would you put
Uh,
just generally, where would you put one hand clapping in your instrumental rankings? Probably.
oh well, it's a cool riff,
Yeah.
and it's got a lot of. Oh, we should say that, especially on the first side here, there's a ton of Linda, and the Moog is really amped up. The synth is just, I don't know if it's a Moog or whatever it is the synthesizer is really cranked, and you hear it on
Yeah.
this theme song, One Hand Clapping, pretty loudly. So it's probably in the middle somewhere. It's
Yeah. Jimmy,
yeah,
a decent little guitar solo
yeah,
from Jimmy, and it's not bad. I'd probably put it in the middle, like
yeah,
11. How
yeah.
about that?
Let's do that. Let's
So
do
so
that.
but yeah, and it's not as memorable to as some of the other ones, for
No,
better or
no,
for worse.
right.
So
So
I know
yeah,
you prefer Odd Socks
oh
Lunchbox.
yeah, it's my
Lunchbox
favorite.
Odd
Yeah,
Socks.
Zoo
Yeah.
Gang too. Yeah.
Zoo Gang, yeah.
Uh, so our first real song on here is Jet, and we've talked about this before because it's got so many of Chris's favorite. This album, I texted you and said the McCartney histrionics on this album are in another level, and you
Yeah.
get it right away on Jet.
Yeah,
So
of course. Yeah. And this is sort
uh,
of a new version, like we said, that the composite. So it's different than the one that I always tell people to listen to from the Band on the Run set, which is really, really great. So I like that they're slightly different. Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yes.
but
And stuff like that.
you still
So
get the come on now.
yeah. Yeah. Ah, come on now. The Linda Fuzz keyboards on this one, probably more than any other, are a touch too hot.
Yeah, yeah,
But the solo is good, and Geoff Britton sounds just fantastic on this one, I think.
yeah.
So
That's a huge difference, I think, from when we talked about Band on the Run. I remember I made the comment that Paul's drumming, there are a few dangerous moments on that album that it's almost feels like on the verge of falling apart. And yes, Paul's fine, but it makes such a difference to have a real drummer. And Britton is very different than Denny Sywell, let's say, who was more of a, I think he was a little, they always say jazzier, but not as propulsive. And
yeah,
like Geoff Britton is just a power drummer, loud, aggressive, and you hear it on Jet and definitely on Soily, the next song. You
yeah.
hear very loud, powerful.
Now onto the soily of it all. Neither of us are big soily guys, because
It's a
just the
cool
word
rocker.
soily is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Soily's not great title.
But they did release a video for this recently, which is the one hand clapping footage. So you can see, even cleaned up, how kind of weird the footage is, and it's like a delay, and when
Yeah.
anytime they're bopping their head, it's like you're getting shadow on it, and it's weird. But if you haven't seen any of the one hand clapping stuff, I'd say definitely check out the new Soily video. And it's very energetic, very cool, and you get to see the whole band there playing.
Yeah.
And Dave's got his mullet wig on today to celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, uh, but
Yeah.
but this has not bothered me too much, as far as in the listening to the set. It's just, coming off a Jet and really cranking through Soily is
Yeah.
it's been good. So
Yeah, I think Soily sounds good too. The
yeah,
famous version is obviously the ending of Wings Over America, which many other people have said this, but I do think it was a brave or unusual thing for Paul to finish a set with a song like this that's not on an album and not
yeah,
really recorded. It's just a kind of a rocking nonsense lyric kind of song, but it sounds good here. Sounds very
yeah.
energetic and very, as you said, propulsive. So we're gonna slow it down a little bit for the medley of Sea Moon and Little Woman Love. Are you a big Sea Moon fan?
I am, and this particular version of it here, I really like. It's a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
got a pretty groovy sort of like organ. This organ is played a lot, the Hammond organ, I believe. And it really sounds cool here. And then you got Jimmy McCullough doing the dun 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 dun, but on the guitar. And they're not blown out, it's not like blowing your eardrums out. It's very relaxed and cool. And then they seamlessly kick into a very lively version of Little Woman Love, sort of double time of what they were doing. And that Little Woman Love has I can't, a churchy feel to it.
Yeah. Like a gospel-y
Yeah.
almost, like a revival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they finish boop on a dime. And then Paul's like, oh, I thought that was great. Oh,
Yeah, it's funny.
yeah. So yeah, how'd you feel about Sea Moon? Are you
I
not a
can't,
Sea Moon guy?
not terribly, but I find it's okay here. It's different because on other recordings, I think we've talked about Little Woman Love starts it out and then it goes into Sea Moon, so it's kind of
Yeah.
backwards here. And I think Sea Moon's better as a starter because Little Woman Love, if you go the other way, Sea Moon kind of drags and can be
Yeah.
a little long. So I
Yeah.
like it this way. You get it, it sets up the mood, and then you really rock. Go to church with Little Woman Love,
Yeah. Once
and
once again, I like that they've taken liberties here to make the best songs for us, the listener,
right.
and not caring if they're like taking two tracks from months apart and putting them together. It's the if in a way, it's the opposite of underdubbed, where they
Mm,
strip some stuff off. Here they're putting some stuff on, or having, splicing together some tape.
yeah,
So,
no, that's
yeah,
true. That's true.
so I like it.
So it works well. And then the next two are ballads, probably Paul's two most famous ballads by this point. Maybe I'm Amazed and My Love. So Maybe I'm Amazed has a very interesting instrumentation because it's not on piano right off the bat. It's on sounds like a tinny kind of electric piano or keyboard
Yeah,
of some sort.
and really high up.
High, yeah, like
So
very
it could be
high.
in the credits. There's a Cele Celestia
Yeah, Celeste. Yeah. Hmm.
Celeste.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it could be the Celeste there. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it makes for a really cool intro,
Yeah, different.
different than you've ever heard, really. And then, maybe I'm amazed, obviously great song, but
Yeah.
we get Jimmy awesome on the solo, and meanwhile we're also getting some counter orchestral
Mm,
uh sort of keys sounding
yeah.
stuff, probably from Linda. Uh, and there's a neat little organ lick near the end. Drums against amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a goof up in this one too, like towards the like going into the maybe I'm
Mhm.
amazed. The
Uh-huh.
transition was a little choppy,
Yeah.
but they cover it, and he really screams that ending
Oh.
too.
He wails. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I like it too.
yeah.
I've as we've said before, I like the song, but I'm not over the moon about it. But I think that's an interesting thing about this album is we've heard a lot of these songs so many times, but not this way and
Yeah.
not very often. So they sound fresher to you. And
Yeah.
so for me, who's heard the versions of Maybe I'm Amazed too many times, I like this one. It's different.
Yeah.
As
Same
same
with
with My
My
Love.
Love.
Exactly.
One of my favorite versions of My Love here. It's just
Wonderful. Yeah.
Paul's voice on this is just absolutely perfect. Of course, you get like some extra whoa, 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 and stuff that he
Yeah.
doesn't usually do. If he does it, I don't know if he still has My Love and he's
I don't know if he
that or
does it
not. I
anymore.
haven't checked his Brazilian sets or wherever he is right now. So,
Yeah.
and then Jimmy's solo is solid, a little different than the
Yeah.
original.
A little bit.
And then so we're getting the overdubs here,
There's
the
orchestra on
orchestra.
this one.
So
Yeah. Which
yeah.
was mentioned Dell Newman conducted this orchestra here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So,
yeah, so great side A there of
oh, it's really, yeah, great.
LP1, and you're just like in heaven, really.
And I
Um,
think it continues when you flip over the album and you get Bluebird next.
yeah, very this one is very
It's different.
different. Let's see. I wanted to check this McCartney Legacy thing too about the Bluebird.
It starts, has a
Uh
different introduction, which
as
is,
per here's from the McCartney Legacy uh uh Twitter account. As per the version issued on Band on the Run Archive Edition, complete with bluesy brushstrokes from saxophonist Howie Casey, now front and center in the mix rather than mixed hard right.
mm,
So yeah, I just sounded so great.
yeah.
Um,
There's some nice reverb on a lot of these songs. It makes it feel like you're there.
Yeah,
I feel it's a like you're in a hall.
yeah.
But this one it rocks a little harder than the one on, well, either Wings Over America or Band on the Run.
Yeah, the
So
harmony vocals on this are mixed really well. They're not at no point are the vocal harmony vocals. And usually when in these type of things where it's like a live or a studio live versions, as these are called, sometimes you get the harmony vocals are just way overblown.
yeah, yeah.
But here they're really sedated but perfectly placed. And of course I love in this one the now Bluebird.
No,
So
we should say his voice on this album is fantastic. It's really,
yeah.
it's not raspy, it's not
Oh yeah.
he's just, it's just crystal clear on so many of these songs. And well, you can't help but notice it on the next three. We'll give you a threesome here of old-timey type songs, even
Yeah,
though they're
well
not
they're
necessarily that old, but
they're half
half done.
songs
Yeah.
that he didn't finish a few of ever beyond this, but a glorious run of them here.
Yeah.
Let's Love, a very nice, sweet song. Sounds great. I really wish he would have completed this one because I this is probably the best of the three even, and I like one of the other ones a lot.
He
But
did actually. He did. He gave. Well, he ended up
well,
giving it to Peggy Lee, who
yeah,
you can
well,
listen to her recording of it.
I'm
If
saying
you.
he should
Oh,
have
yeah, he
done
should
a
have done it
full version
himself.
of it
I agree.
himself.
I agree.
But I
Yeah.
think it is a sort of in that style of Peggy Lee's the right person to give it to, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then a weaker a song, the lesser of the two here, All of You. And I guess this one was on that box set as well, but once again, this is 20 seconds longer and much better quality than the
Yeah.
version on the box set. So, what do you think of All of You?
It's incomplete, so it's hard to really judge. It's more, it
Yeah.
just sounds like Paul running through, like he did in the Get Back movie, just running through tunes that
Yeah.
he's been working on, or and
Loving me right.
yeah,
That was a
I
weird.
love you. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
It's a good. Well, I think it could have been a nice tune if it was put together and finished up.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Now a song that was put together and
Ah,
finished up and is one of my favorite B-sides from
yep,
the Tug of War era. But here it is, years and years before. This was one of the things when you're going through one hand clapping, you're like, what do you mean I'll give you rings on here?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but I like this here. It's great to hear. You know, look at it, Lord. Does that whole thing there. So nice to hear here in a sort of a fun. What this reminds me of these three is when we watched the Parkinson
Oh
when
yeah,
he
yeah.
was on Parkinson before Driving Rain came out.
Yes, it was
It was
like
like
year
months and
2000
months.
or
Yeah.
2000. Yeah,
It was months and months before Driving Rain, and he was playing some new songs.
yeah,
And there were songs that, quite frankly, were worse on Driving Rain
yeah,
than the versions he was playing there, just singing to Parky. Just looking in Parky's deep eyes and singing them to him
yeah.
on
Oh yeah,
Parkinson. So but yeah, so these three, it's what I like too is it's like a minute 9, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and then okay,
yeah.
that's enough.
Then we're
That's
gonna
why I
get
was
back
talking
to
about the sequence of songs. It's almost like, hey, the other guys have to, change the drum head, so I'm gonna play a few tunes here, and then
yeah.
we'll get into some very heavy hitters.
Oh yeah. Three
Three
in a
in a row
row.
here that just blow you away.
Yeah, we get Band on the Run, Live and Let Die, and then 1985. And
Yeah,
then, strangely enough, the album's and the side ends with Babyface, so we're going back to the old days here. But that
yeah,
kind of makes sense. You get three of that style, then we're going to go to three current tunes, and then
yeah,
we'll change it up. So Band on the Run. Again, it's a song we've heard so many times and worn out in a lot of ways, but it sounds fresh here, and I like
yeah,
Jimmy adds a lot to the guitar part. Like it just sounds good on
yeah.
here.
It's a very wailing ending. That
Yeah,
was
it
my big
is.
note on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
And
then
then he says, take three, and they do Live and Let Die. Gentle start, nice with the organ.
yeah,
And then this is one where it's a little rushed, it's a little punchy,
it's fast.
it's
Yeah.
fast, and the orchestra is just going really well, and he's like giving you, yeah, yeah, like that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
but something really strange at the end, Dave.
The
It goes,
ending is different.
yeah, it goes to a major chord in it.
Yes, yes, instead of that
Yeah.
minor that bum bum.
Um,
No. So I don't know. I don't
yeah.
yeah.
Bah!
It
Instead, there.
kind of took me by surprise when I heard it. I kind of it's okay. Kind of
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, it's just a little different thing
Yep.
that adds some excitement. You're like, oh, this is a different thing than I've heard. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, good very almost feels like it's on the edge, the
yeah.
song and the performance, but in a good way, kind of like exciting kind of way.
And then once again, a different thing here with 1985. You start with just Paul and the piano
Yeah.
until the woo section, where everybody comes in.
It's
And
actually
so,
just it's the recording. It's the
yeah,
same from Band on the Run. They
yeah,
brought it in and then he sings over it.
yeah.
So
So, yeah.
I don't
And
know what
then
I think of that one.
lots of grunts
Yeah, lots of
in this. Well,
yeah.
it also subtracts something that always bothers you, Dave,
Oh,
at
that
the very
ending.
end.
Yeah, that's
So it
true.
does so one thing I noticed though was they go to the chord. So I always assume the last chord really of 1985 was part of the Band on the Run
Mm,
section, but it isn't. So
no.
they go down, and then he usually goes Band on the
And on the
Run
right, right.
in that key, but instead it's just there's that chord. So
Yeah,
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one because I was because it is kind of a hybrid of Paul singing it by himself, and this song to me really does need the band. By itself, it doesn't have enough because you need those background vocals, you need the instrumentation. But again, it's different, and I kind of an interesting change by just
Yeah,
hearing Paul and then the recording coming
you might
in.
as well include it. We're
Sure.
trying
Oh
to
yeah, yeah.
we're trying to create a big, great double album here.
Definitely, definitely.
And then I like the ending with it's sort of an ending of the first disc here,
Yeah.
and it's Babyface. It's a goofy take, so fun. It's got the Tuxedo Brass Band on it, so you get the full sort of New Orleans kind of feel, and he's really singing it, really going
Hamming it
all
up.
out.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so pretty good. So
Yeah. No.
once again, 47 minutes there for the full disc one. That would be enough, but
Yeah.
you get a
But
whole
no.
nother disc.
Yep.
It's so great.
And we're gonna this is I
Yeah.
think you're gonna love side three the most because it has one of Chris's
Mhm.
all-time favorites on here
Mhm.
in a special version, song three we'll get to in a little bit.
Oh
But
yeah.
uh But first, we're going to go back to Band on the Run and have Let Me Roll It.
Yeah,
And so, not terribly different to me. I think Jimmy
yeah,
doesn't sound as, I think he would sound better a couple of years later. Maybe more confident. I think he's just he's playing the da 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 da
yeah,
da.
yeah. I was thinking on this one similarly that it was you can tell he's new and
Yeah.
kind of still learning some of these songs.
Yep.
So and that they'd get really pro at playing particularly this one. I'm sure it was a staple throughout the Wings Over America.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, yeah. So, but I like you gave me something. Oh yeah, like little additions like that. Like,
Hmm.
but overall, it's pretty much straightforward. Let me roll
Yeah.
it. It's not the most intriguing part of the set. Usually, as you know, I roll my eyes at the Paul Oldies covers, but I really like this version of Blue Moon of Kentucky. You got a harmonica at the beginning, you got
Yeah.
some pitter patter. It's just like, oh, we're having fun in the studio, we're having a great time. And then a really lively version of the Blue Moon of Kentucky. Of course, Bill Monroe wrote that track.
And much different than you and I love the unplugged
Yeah,
version, which is much more bluegrassy. Because I think wasn't
yeah,
Hamish Stewart or Robbie McIntosh, one of them was playing a dobro, and so
yeah,
it had a different feel. It was slower. This one is faster
yeah,
and more energetic of a
yeah,
feel.
yeah. And then we go through. It's another sort of like
Paul set.
Hall set. It's probably the weakest stretch of
Yeah.
tracks on the record. We get Power Cut. At the very beginning of this, Paul's doing. One of my favorite things is Paul characters, like the
Yes.
like the guy he does it. Mademoiselle Kitty.
Kitty.
Yeah, that character he does in the middle of Venus and Mars.
Yeah.
Well, he does a silly voice like, "Now we're taking a request, but done by request for a little power cut." So, and then he does a nice little. It's just Paul and the organ does a nice little version of power cut. Uh, it's fine.
It's
It's not.
fine.
I don't hate power cut.
No.
Just
It's
yeah,
actually almost better here than it is in the medley
I think so.
on Red
Yeah,
Rose Speedway. I think I like it better here as a
yeah.
solo number.
And then a song, probably my least favorite thing on the whole album.
Yeah.
It's Paul and a xylophone or something. Do you know what he's playing?
I don't know. Yeah.
And
Glockenspiel or xylophone or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he's doing "Love My Baby," which is I think another unfinished. Did he ever finish that one?
No. Mm-mm.
In this case, I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then a little bit of fun of the Mellotron, and he seems like he accidents himself into doing a little "Let It Be" because he's kind of laughing through the very start of it there. So a little "Let It Be" for you, a little nice
With
little
kind of a gospel-y Mellotron organ-y
yeah,
sound.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So a little short version there, and then "Long and Winding Road" and "Lady Madonna" together.
Yeah.
And you get the piano intro. It's like 2 minutes of Long and Winding Road, and then going into Lady Madonna. His voice sounds great on all of it, of
Yep.
course,
Yep.
but just to sort of, I don't know. I almost kind of wish he'd do some of these, like that's enough. That's enough, Lady Madonna.
Yeah. Just like
You
joke
know,
around with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Oh, we
play
don't need to
three or
do the.
four quick. Oh, you got a little "Let It Be," you got a little
Yeah.
"Long and Winding Road," you got a little "Lady Madonna." Now let's get back to business.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah,
So
it does feel like he's kind of diddling around here and there because Long Winding Road starts with the piano and takes a while to get till he starts singing. He's sort of like, oh, I guess I'll do this one. All right, I'll sing it. Okay, sure. And then it goes into Lady Madonna. So they're fine. They're harmless. I agree with you. I think side three is the weakest of the four
yeah,
sides because you flip over the album and we get the new single with Junior's Farm.
Yeah, just a dynamite version
Oh
of
yeah.
Junior's Farm, a composite take, but you can't really tell.
No.
And Jimmy just really, really rips on this one. I mean, obviously, it was like
Take me
his
down, Jimmy.
first song. Yeah, take me. I don't know why I put aha. I don't know. Maybe he does that in the song. I don't know why what that note means, but
Yeah.
Junior Farm, and then that's followed up with a just Paul on acoustic guitar, once again in great voice with a track I know you love,
Yeah.
which is Sally G.
The B-side of Junior's Farm.
Yeah.
So Paul's country-ish flair, a pretty actually a good point I read in a review of this album was when you have these stripped down versions with just Paul, you pay a lot more attention to the lyrics and I that this is a song I just sort of listened to the steel pedal steel and kind of ignored the lyrics, but they're pretty good, I have to say. It's a Nashville. This was written in Nashville and recorded there originally,
Yeah.
and I like Paul's country-ish take on a song, Sally G. I
Yeah.
like the last line about I don't know what the G stands for, but I know it's not good. So, so it's pretty good. I like the version of Sally G. How about you?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. But not as much as I absolutely love
Oh,
this version of Tomorrow.
what a surprise.
Yeah, a wonderful version, totally different feel to it. It's
Yeah.
more of like a late at night, the piano bar is closing, and I'll do one more for you.
Yeah.
It's just Paul on a piano, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. And it really does feel like you're there, like you're sitting right next to him. The sound quality is that good. His voice is that good. And the
Yeah.
piano miking is that good too. So I read that Tomorrow was a favorite of a relative of Linda's, and
Mhm.
that's why he did this little version.
Yeah. By request. We should have done
Yeah.
by another request. No, you know.
Another character. Yeah.
And then I like with no banter, no anything, we go right into Go Now.
Yeah.
And it's just that beginning, that very sweet uh vocals of Denny at the
You
beginning.
already said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just really great. Once again, another example of the perfectly balanced backup vocals on this one. And you do have the organ at the beginning, so
Yeah.
that's pretty stand out here on this version of Go Now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it too. We talked about Go Now quite a bit in our Denny Lane Beatle Friends episode, and
Yeah.
it's kind of the song that he's most known for singing. So I'm glad that he got a chance to sing.
You
Uh,
know, Denny's passing has been a chance to reappreciate Denny
yeah,
and the fact that we've got the underdubbed and then we got this one hand clapping shortly thereafter. I think it's a nice thing that has happened
yeah,
in
definitely.
the after the passing of Denny, so we can like truly be like, oh wow, this is it sounds so great here. And of course, he has the vocals at the very beginning of this version of Wildlife.
Right, right.
Yeah. Did you notice something in this version of Wildlife,
I
Bill?
didn't hear anything about aminals in the
That's
zoo.
right.
No
That's right.
aminals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that bothers you, the aminals of it all, this is your version.
And it's also shorter, which I like because the
Yeah.
one on Wildlife drags and goes on for I think it's over 6 minutes. So
Yeah.
this is only 4.5, so it works pretty well.
Yeah. And one thing about Wildlife is it is a place to feature guitar playing
True.
because there's a lot of
A lot of riffing.
a lot of
Yeah.
riffing and like stuff like that. So
Yeah.
pretty good. And it has a cool ending, this version too.
Yes, I agree. And
And
it
then
finishes with Hi Hi Hi, which this was
yeah,
also released. They dribbled out Junior's Farm and this one, I think, before these were on streaming, and I was blown away also by Hi Hi Hi, and the sound of it just
yeah.
was so good, so tight.
Yeah, particularly at the beginning with the guitars, it's just like
Yeah,
it's so alive, like
alive.
like really sounds live and really good. The length of this second disc is 35:30. So
Yeah,
the first
short.
one was 47, the second one's 35. So it's, if I had a slight quibble, it's like, could we have maybe got these other 7-inch tracks into there?
Yeah, that's actually
Instead of
perfect.
separating them out for a 7-inch track. Now, it does have its own feel, and even in the 7-inch, you've got is good sequencing, which is
Well, we should say, what is this backyard? What happened here? What is this about? So Paul recorded in an afternoon in the backyard of EMI
mhm,
about almost I think about 25 minutes. You can hear the whole thing on YouTube. So you get six of the songs here,
yeah.
and he just he and his acoustic guitar and went through some covers, went through a couple of his own tunes. I will say as a diehard diehard lover of my favorite, I don't know, I guess my favorite guitar that I own, my Martin D28. You
Mhm.
hear, if you want how beautiful and why it's the best acoustic guitar ever, listen to this because it just sounds so good when Paul
Yeah.
plays this Martin. But
Yeah.
it's so they call it the backyard because it was in the backyard of
Yeah.
EMI.
A couple of the Sally G was in part of that backyard
Yeah.
thing. So there were a couple of the tracks are in the actual running order of the album, but the leftovers, some of the leftovers here are on this little 7-inch. And what they did was the first three are Paul tracks, and then you flip the side and the other three are covers. So I like that they've got like, okay, here's Paul playing his own stuff, and then let's flip it over, and here's Paul playing the covers. Now, if you have the McCartney Legacy DVD,
Yes, I know Blackpool.
Blackpool, or if you listen to Chaos and Creation at Abbey Road, where he played a live version of Blackpool, and otherwise it had never been released. It was, and there's a little bit of confusion if it was going to be on a B side of a track uh, uh in 82 that they didn't release a single and it was going to be the B side. It's a little confusing if that's a new recording or this version. So depending on where you read, you might get alternating um, information on that. But this version, Blackpool, it's a cool little song. Not a great song. It's
The lyrics.
him thinking back on his childhood. So he's saying like 32, 28,
48, yeah.
48, Blackpool,
Yeah,
do. So that's it. And it
yeah.
just sort of not much of anything, but nice to have an official release. And he sounds great singing it. Um, Blackbird comes next. It's just Paul singing Blackbird
Yeah,
with his guitar. And I was in the kitchen, I was just really soaking it up. Just a
yeah.
absolutely beautiful sounding, crystal clear sounding, wonderful track there. And then Country Dreamer, which of course we've heard this version before where he stops and starts and keeps forgetting the lyrics.
If I can remember the lyrics, I'll do it again.
Yeah. So that's nice little side A of the 7-inch, and then you flip that and you get 20 Flight Rock. Midway through the songs he says, "Take it, Eddie."
Yeah.
Eddie
Eddie
Cochran.
Cochran.
20 Flight Rock. Like, okay,
Like
we know what we're listening to now.
the
I had
DJ
no
there.
idea what was going on until you DJ'd for us
Yeah.
there. And then he does Peggy Sue and I'm Gonna Love You Too, a couple of short versions of songs from Buddy Holly there. So yeah, so nothing to blow your socks off about. If you decided not to get the more expensive version with the 7-inch, I don't think you're gonna be like up late at night.
No.
Why did I not get the 7-inch? But considering I did get it, I've enjoyed listened to it 3 or 4 times. So I'm not sure. Always with 7 inches, are you going to listen to it over and over again?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, the question becomes like, did I need to buy that? But yeah.
yeah.
Overall, though,
Yeah, so let's give this an overall ranking of out of 5 stars here. I think,
yeah.
uh,
Scale of
yeah.
1 to, let's do scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, 1 to 10. All right, scale of 1 to 10. Half or 9.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
got to
great.
be 8.5 or 9. Pitchfork gave it like a good review. I think they gave it a 8.7, which is like very high for them. Let me just
I think if I think the of the whole idea is part of this whole album. So I think they sound fine for what, but I know, yeah, it has gotten very good reviews everywhere,
yeah,
and many people saying it's essential, and you want, and it captures, I think what's better is it captures that period of time in between Band on the Run and Venus and Mars, with the big tour, what was happening. And then also you'd see that Geoff Britton would be out of the band. He didn't last very long.
yeah.
And so if you really only heard him on Junior's Farm, well, here's a chance to hear Geoff Britton on a whole album.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. By the way, Pitchfork gave it an 8.4.
Mm,
And just I'll just read their descriptor of it. Shelved for decades, finally released in full. Wings 1974 Abbey Road sessions are intimate and exploratory, showcasing a seldom heard anything goes side of the former Beatle. So I
that's
think
a good
that's
way to put it.
very
Yeah.
accurate. They also mentioned Linda's keyboards and sort of drew a parallel between Wings and being sort of like early precursor to synth type bands
Mm,
of the new wave. Now I'm not sure if that's true or not,
yeah.
but it is the fact that Wings concentrates a lot on the keyboards. There's Linda's throughout, obviously.
Yep.
So I never really thought of them as a synth band, but
No,
but
no.
but but there is something to be said about that. So read the Pitchfork review. Uh, an 8.4 for usually it's
Oh,
half the time they don't even review like uh, stuff from anybody over 30. So
yeah, 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 yeah.
you know,
Hipsters,
yeah,
non-hipsters.
exactly. So pretty good. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I loved it. I'm pretty excited to have it, and I'll be listening to it again.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely. Well, very good. So, our next big release, I think we're waiting for, will be in next month. So we're recording
yep.
in June. So it'll be the Mind Game set.
Dave's got his $1,500 set all ready to come
Oh, you know it.
in
You
multiple
know it.
copies, so you can
Yep.
not even unwrap one of them,
Right.
seal it in a different in a vault, never to be opened.
Never gonna touch it. No.
Yeah. So that
No.
when you die, somebody's like, "What's this?" and then just throws it out.
Right. Exactly. No.
I don't know what this shit is.
I know.
Well,
Burn it. Yeah.
so
Yeah, no. So we'll get to that. We're going to be going on a little bit of a summer vacation here, but we'll get this out, and
yeah,
then have the uh Mind Games short, probably by the end of July, I'm thinking,
yeah,
if all
and
goes well.
you'll be hearing more from Song Album Career. We have some episodes coming out, some a lot of short episodes starting up here 1st of July here. And then you're also gonna get the Tears for Fears if I
Oh
could
yeah, yeah.
ever get it done
Yeah.
editing. It's been that one's been a beast to edit because we talked the full career of Tears
Oh,
for Fears, even the newer albums. So had a great discussion there. So I'm excited to get that one out as well. But
yeah.
yeah, look for more from us in July to fill the gap of a little bit of a gap here, not too big of a gap between I Get a Beatles episodes.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
great. Well, thanks as always for listening and writing and commenting. And hope everyone's summer is going well. And we will be back at you soon with a new episode.